let's talk about the Clippers and Kawhi and aspiration and this $28 million endorsement deal, $300 million sponsorship deal that this company had with the team. You guys have announced an investigation. These things take a long time. But meanwhile, there's a slow drip or maybe a quick flood of additional news all the time. My old Time Inc. colleague, Pablo Torre, has been reporting on this a lot. Where do things currently stand? And as each piece of information comes out, how do you assess it all?
Number one, I'd say in almost all the investigations we've done since I've been at the NBA, certainly the bigger ones, the media plays a large part in them. As we are seeing in this investigation here, it began with Pablo and his podcast. This was not something that was on our radar to even be thinking about, and whether it should or shouldn't be. I mean, and when this concludes, we'll take a fresh look at our rules in terms of companies that players are investing in and owners. We have rules now. I mean, we have lines, but there's not a complete prohibition. It's based on the amount each owns in those entities. So, but the values are getting much higher. The world's getting more complicated. Those are things that we're going to look at. But one of the things that in some ways we're the beneficiary in these investigations when they become public. I mean, Pablo, for example, has numerous anonymous sources. Some of them may choose to come forward. Some of them may choose to speak to other media outlets. Some may choose to be on the record. There are some news organizations that pay for news content. I mean, that's but I'm just saying in some of our investigations, they've been broken because people have chosen to sell video and do other things there. So that media coverage becomes part of the investigation. So the drip you reference, sure, we have, right down the street from Wachtell, that does our investigations. They follow the news as well. It doesn't mean that obviously that we take at face value anything we hear, see, or read. That's what the investigation is for. And in some ways, the tactics they follow are not all that different than often what an investigative reporter would do. On the other hand, government has ultimate power that we don't have to subpoena, et cetera, in investigations, but we have certain league powers, certainly over anyone who is an actor within the league, a player, an owner, a team, et cetera. When you sign up to be, an owner in this league, you acknowledge that you are going to comply, as Steve Ballmer has said he is, and is fully complying, but whether it's your emails, your texts, or whatever else, internal documents. So yes, this investigation will take time. I mean, we want to be as completely thorough as possible, and it's my sense from being involved in these things in the past, we will get to the bottom of this. I mean, these are real people out there who did whatever deals they did. My sense is that we will bring whatever resources we need to bear on this investigation. I don't know anything more yet, as I've been very public about. It's not just because Steve Ballmer is an owner in the league. I'd be saying this about anybody who's accused of anything. I'm a lawyer. I believe in due process. I believe in fairness. And so we will be thorough, but we will begin with a presumption of innocence, not a presumption of guilt, is what I keep reading about, and then we will follow the facts.
I think what's hard for people to understand in all this, and Ballmer has said, basically I was hoodwinked. It was a fraudulent company, and this company, had executives that have been prosecuted, and it went bankrupt. He has said that. You have said you hadn't heard of aspiration before, but a $300 million deal with the team, the team was going to be like a jersey patch sponsor. They had aspiration on the back of the courtside seats. I think Pablo...
Just to be clear, I'm not sure if I said if I said I never heard of it, I meant in the context of the accusations here. I mean, I certainly was aware of the brand, but I didn't know anything about it.
Got it, yes, because I think just earlier today, Pablo tweeted, he said that because it was a $300 million deal, it was a founding sponsorship agreement. And those, as I would expect, have to be approved at the league level. So, I covered the wild and wacky cryptocurrency world for many years. And I think we all saw what happened with FTX. I mean, that company had its name on the Miami Heat arena. And they signed a 19-year stadium naming rights deal. And I remember thinking, how could a company that's only been around 2 years sign a 19-year deal? Surprise, it wasn't above board and the company went under and they had to remove the name. So I think it's just hard for people to believe that everyone involved was so, not aware of what this company was or wasn't.
Well, again, we got to do an investigation here. I'm saying I accept your earlier point or what I was suggesting about whether we need to be thinking about the rules we follow here. I mean, we're not, we can hire outside law firms. We have some in-house investigators, but there are literally thousands of deals that cover all our teams. And I think, these are brands that have, major investors, major funds, et cetera. That was certainly clear of the crypto world at the time. And so, yes, there's a league approval process, but it doesn't go deep into, interviewing executives for every deal that comes through the league office.
Does it need to?
Well, I think that's a fair question, and maybe at a certain level they do. I think we'll have a better sense of when we understand what happened here, be honest, because, you could be asking me, I know your background is in crypto to a certain extent. Let's go back to those deals. Should we have been doing things we didn't do? And we're still, and now crypto's back up. We have deals with some of the crypto companies now, and now they're, the market's killing, going crazy on crypto.
This guy's up
right
on
now.
His crypto prices.
No, I'm just exactly. So is there a different view now? I'm just saying, we live in a market economy. There is a government that regulates these industries. There are teams and team owners, obviously, that are risking their reputations and brands. It's a larger ecosystem at play. And then you also have rights of players, because we collectively bargain certain limitations on players' abilities to invest in companies. I'll say right now, reading sort of at least what's being, reported around aspiration. And I certainly don't know anything at all about Kawhi's deal, whether it was show, no show. I just don't know, and we'll find all that out. But at least up till now, the greatest complaints have come from a combination of players and owners who don't like the fact that the league has placed limitations on companies that they can both be investing in, because it feels unfair. It's in some cases, there are no commercial deals necessarily with team, but we're saying if an owner owns over 5% of this company, there's an absolute preclusion to players investing. So you have players saying, that's unfair. That's something I want to invest in. And you have players who are in deals and owners saying, wait a second, it's a big world. Everybody's investing in these companies just because I own this NBA team. So that's been, historically, we've gotten complaints there. Now, as we see whatever happened here, and begin right now, just the appearance of issues becomes, of course, a brand issue for the NBA right now. And we may have to rethink those rules and think maybe there are even additional lines, because I accept my responsibility ultimately is the integrity of this league. And especially when it's a competitive issue. We've had other larger investigations, but be honest, even when it involves misconduct of owners, it doesn't get fans' attention of 30 teams in the way something does where there's a suggestion there's an unlevel playing field, that somebody has a greater advantage because they have deeper pockets or they have a relationship or a connection. And I think from a fan standpoint, look, I'm never going to be in a position where I can sit here and say, I can promise nothing untoward's going to happen in the league, but what we do want to pledge to our fans is that from a league office standpoint, we treat everybody the same. As I said, we respect due process. We're going to be fair to everyone involved, whether it's a team executive, an owner, or a player, but that we care deeply about competitive fairness in this league. And that's what this issue potentially touches on, which is, I think, why in part it's getting so much attention.